Hey guys, it's Natalie and welcome back to my channel. Now this week I thought it would be fun since I didn't do any 3 a.m. challenges last year. I thought I would do one to start off the new year. So it is 3:02 in the morning. You guys can see me on my phone. Let's see. 3:03 now. So I thought it would be fun to pick 3 top Reddit stories. I just picked the top 3 from last month. So no, I did not read them. I do not know how long this is, so I don't know if this is going to be a long video or a short video or probably somewhere in between. But if you're new to this channel, why not hit subscribe? Because I noticed that a lot of people that watch my videos aren't subscribed. So why not use some time than typing in my channel all the time and just click the subscribe button, and why not, while you're there, turn on post notifications. But anyways, let's get started. I found all these on Reddit. So the first one, I thought, since we just got done with Christmas, I guess this one says 18 days ago, so it was last month. It says, I answered the letters that children sent to Santa Claus, but I started to receive some very strange letters. That is a very long title. But, okay. Here we go. I checked my inbox this time last year, and it said you have 63 unread emails. That's me every day. I keep getting emails from random stuff. Anyways, this is going to be a long night. Sure, I love Christmas as much as the average person, and I like earning a bit of extra money, but I still wasn't looking forward to it. It was my job to read each and every one of these emails and respond as if I were the real Santa Claus. Aww, Santa Claus is real. I also have a small pile of handwritten letters that needed a reply as well. They were stacked up next to me, all neatly tied together with a piece of string. For some reason, I actually prefer receiving the handwritten letters other than the electronic version. It feels more personal, but it seems like most kids nowadays would rather send emails. In fact, I only this small pile. I hate reading things with bad grammar because my mind just corrects it. Okay. Anyways, I only had this small pile of 12 letters this year. All the other ones were strictly via email. I began to click through each email quickly, skimming what it was that each child wanted for Christmas. Before replying, I would try my best to deliver the gift to them. I would always end the email by signing off as Santa Claus before clicking send. Most kids would usually wanted the usual presents of bikes, games, or a puppy, but there were also a number of requests that were a bit more unique. One kid wanted a bottle of hand sanitizer, while another wanted a hammer. Why would you want a hammer? I get the hand sanitizer like now, but why a hammer? Okay. For the most part, though, it appeared that kids mainly wanted similar gifts. The night was getting late. By the time I answered the majority of the emails, my hand and wrists were beginning to tire. But the thought of earning $3 for each reply was what managed to keep me working. Oh. My eyes wanted to close, so I decided to leave the small stack of letters until tomorrow. I still had a dozen or so emails to complete, but it was time to call it a night. Ding, the unmistakable sound of another new email rang across my small apartment. I knew that I wasn't going to respond, but I wanted to skim read what it said. Acquaintance with my bed. Holly, good work on responding to all those emails tonight. I know it's mentally draining, and I know you are working hard on it. But I just wanted to make sure you also replied to the handwritten letters that I sent over to you this morning. Those kids need to respond to. Thanks, Michelle. But when it comes to getting my job done, Oh, Michael. Ooh. I pronounce it as Michelle. I don't know why, but it's Michael. He was a constant contact with me. Michael was a decent boss, but sometimes could be a bit pushy and a tad demanding. I was going to respond to the letters as well, but both Michael and the kids would have to wait until tomorrow to hear back from the fake Santa. I was about to finish closing the lid on my laptop when I heard another unmistakable ding. I can't pronounce a word. Another email had come through. I thought most kids would be bed at this late hour and not sending a Christmas wish list via email. Curious, I flipped my laptop back open and read the new email. The subject of 6 words. Read on the first day of Christmas. Unsure of what this meant, I opened the email, read what was written in it. Didn't take long to read words because it was only 2 sentences long. The caroler sent me a partridge hanging in a pear tree. That's the song. I reread the email a couple times, making sure that I was correctly comprehending the message. I knew what was written, but I didn't entirely know what it meant. I sat there staring at the computer screen, confused as to what email was about. I didn't have long to be confused, though, because another ding fell through the silent room. I looked at my inbox and saw another email had just been sent through. This time there was no subject that actually contains the email was once only a few sentences long. The first Noel the angels did slay. The caroler. This email was mention of the caroler. I can't pronounce that. And I was unsure as to who exactly that was. Maybe just someone playing some sort of prank, but I hadn't seen enough horror movies to not completely dismiss this as such. More often than not, things likely this turn out not to be a practical joke, and so I was very wary as to what was really going on here. I thought it would be best not to respond to these emails, but I knew I shouldn't have deleted them and forgot about them either. Ding, this time I checked the email. It contained a single sentence, another line from the famous Christmas song. Silent night, holy night, shepherds quake at my sight. The caroler. The caroler signed his name at the bottom of the email again, making sure I knew it was from them, whoever they were. I was starting to feel a strange sense of dread, like my body knew something was clearly wrong, but my brain was still too deciphered what exactly I was definitely concentrating. The caroler uses of the word slay. Ding, ding. There's 2 dings this time. Both of them made me jump slightly into my seat. My heart darted back to the top of the inbox list, and I saw 2 emails had just arrived. The first one read, bells of bobtails ring, making his spirits rise. The caroler. The second email, also from the caroler, contained another quote from another joyful Christmas carol. Joy to the world, for I have come. The caroler. Now I was worried. Whoever it was mistakenly sending me these emails. This was intentional. They wouldn't accidentally send me 5 emails, all containing strange verses of carolers. Each email... I just tried to do that in one breath. Holy crap. Okay. Each email seemed to allude to some dark or sinister, which is something that I couldn't ignore. Ding. Rudy the dead-nosed reindeer had a very tiny nose. That is not how that song goes. It's Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer had a very shiny nose. Okay. The caroler. This email was first truly disturbed me. I'm not entirely sure why, but I think it was because it seemed as if Rudolph was perfectly changed to another name. This probably meant something, but what that wasn't was still unknown. Obviously, the caroler was trying to scare me, and he definitely knew how to. What scared me most though was, what if the emails were clues to something? Ding. Hark the harnal angels sing. Glory to the firstborn king. The caroler. I read this email twice before I noticed it read firstborn instead of newborn. As is heard the song. I wasn't quite sure for the significance of this change was, but I was certain that it had to mean something. Ding. O come, all ye faithful, dreadful and triumphant. O come ya to Beth. Carol. Another changed lyrics to suit a name. I was absolutely sure that it was on purpose. This had to mean something. This, oh my god, I cannot read right now. This had to be a clue to something bigger. It wasn't possible to make this many spelling mistakes without, well, you made so many right now. Holy crap. Without them being deliberate or calculated. I looked around my empty apartment. It was dark, apart from the light of my laptop screen providing a faint glow of light. The darkness no longer felt comfortable, and I needed a proper light source to calm myself down. I needed to be able to see everything that was inside my apartment just in case. I stood up out of my seat, only to take one step towards the light switch when I heard a ding. I didn't want to look at it, not until the lights were on. I continued to walk towards the light switch while constantly looking through the darkness, hoping not to see anything within it. Oh, I hate that feeling. Oof. I reached the switch, flipped it on, and quickly glanced at the room. It was empty. Only the warp chair, my desk, my bed were present. I quickly walked around over to my laptop, but as I did, two more distant dings ran out across the room. Jesus. When I reached the laptop again, I had 3 unread emails that had just been sent through. I knew exactly who they were from before I looked at them. The first email read, "He sees you when he's sleeping. He knows when you awake." Here, I paused to take it in. What I just read before moving on to the second email. "Bad ties I bring to you and your friend." The hero. The final email, which was the longest so far, read, "And caroler out in the snow, there will be ghost stories and tales the glory of Christmases long, long ago." The hero. 3 more emails, 3 more names mentioned. I waited, watching my laptop screen, waiting for another ding, waiting for another email to pop up. But it seemed like the emails had stopped. I waited a few minutes, expecting to receive another one, but it never arrived. As I sat in my now well-lit apartment, I felt a chill run down my spine. I wasn't really sure of what I had just experienced or what any of it meant. I just knew that it wasn't something I wanted to be involved with. It was silent. I was listening out for small noises that I could, just in case I heard anyone nearby. I could hear a car or two outside my window, but other than that, it was silent night. Silent night. I suddenly had thought the handwritten letters from Santa, and I hadn't had a chance to look at it yet. For some reason, they popped into my mind, and once the thought occurred, I couldn't shake the feeling that they me involved somehow. I looked to the side and towards the bundle of envelopes. I reached out and grabbed the top letter. I tore it open and pulled out a single sheet that was inside. The piece of paper was only small, and it had a few sentences written on it, incredibly handwritten. "Dear Santa, for Christmas, I want a partridge and a pear tree. From Georgia Partridge." I instantly knew that this was all connected somehow. I frantically grabbed the second letter. I tore open the envelope that contained the second letter. I pulled the piece of paper out of the envelope and quickly unfolded it. Again, there was a small note written in the same neat handwriting as the previous one. Dear Santa, all I want is to be found in the fields as I lay. From Noel Dover. I read the letter, then froze. I recognized the name, Noel Dover. I had heard it before. I swear I had. I just couldn't remember where. Pushing through of his names aside, I grabbed the next envelope that sat on the top of the pile, tore open, and plucked it all contains. Same handwriting greeted me in what now felt like a taunting manner. Dear Santa, for Christmas, I want to sleep in heavenly peace. From Henry Shepherd. It then struck me. I remember how I knew the name Noel Dover. Well, I thought I did. So I went back to my laptop and searched for his name. I was right. I had correctly remembered where I knew his name. Searched entries, day 12 for missing camper. Missing camper, Noel Dover, has been missing for almost 2 weeks now. Both police and volunteers have been tirelessly searching ever since it was first reported he was missing. Police inspected his campsite and have today revealed that the evidence that points to foul play. It is unknown this time whether there are any suspects that are related to his disappearance. The article continued to explain more about this missing man, but I had read enough. I remembered the story from a few years ago. As far as I knew, no one had to be convicted for his abduction. In fact, I don't think there was any. In fact, I don't think there were ever any suspects. After discovering this piece of information, my mind began to race. Why was this letter sent to me, and why did I receive it? Refer to it a true crime. Okay, that one was a little much. Yeah. This one is called My Son's Imaginary Friend is Dead. Now that is just because I had imaginary friends when I was a little kid. I'm pretty sure you guys watching probably did. But how does an imaginary friend die? Or is dead? The smell of freshly brewed coffee, but anyways, let's begin. This smell of freshly brewed coffee was strong in the air as I descended the stairs. I stretched languidly when I reached the bottom, my body still to wake up after a long good night's sleep. Good morning, all, I announced as I made my way into the kitchen. I gave my wife Claire a quick peck as I passed by the stove. Dad, my son squealed, hopping out of his chair and rushing over. That never got old. Luke was 4 and a firecracker. I lifted the boy off his feet and swung him around much as a charred green of his mother, who was trying to get him to settle down long enough for him to eat his Cheerios. Noticing Claire's herring expression, I quickly dropped Luke back into his little chair to finish his breakfast. How did you sleep, little man? Fine, Reggie came to see me last night. Ah, yes. How is Reginald doing these days? I asked. I asked with a mocking seriousness. His name is Reggie, Dad, not Reginald. Luke said, drawing out his last syllable as if the name Reginald was absolutely absurd. That was creepy. Okay. Apologies. How is Reggie doing? I respond. My wife shot me a dark look. I knew I should never encourage this new imaginary friend my son had made up. Claire certainly did not approve, but I honestly couldn't see the harm in it. He was 4, after all. What 4-year-old hasn't had an imaginary friend? And as we had just moved into our new home in a new village, I think it in his way of coping with being in a strange place and settling in. The move to Castlewood was somewhat unexpected. My job had offered the chance to transfer along with a sizable promotion. It was too good of a deal to pass up. The drawback was, of course, the abrupt change that had left very little time for my child and wife to acclimate to our new surroundings. He's okay, Luke said. I glanced up at Luke. Just okay? That's too bad. What did good old Reggie have to say? Nothing much. Luke said, slurping milk from his spoon. Just stuff. Just stuff. Yeah, he said he doesn't like you. No, Reggie, you ruined me. I tinkled Luke lightly, with resulting in a round of giggles. Well, perhaps I can meet Reggie officially at your birthday party next week, and he will realize I'm not such a bad guy. My son laughed brightly and responded nonchalantly, That's silly, Dad. Reggie can't come. He's dead. What? The son said that. Okay. Sure, he's been dead for a long time. Oh wait, I missed a sentence. You say Reggie is dead? I finally asked, looking back to my son. Sure, he's been dead for a long time, my son responded before spinning another mouthful of Cheerios into his mouth. Mom, can I go play out in the garden now? I've finished a whole bowl. Claire looked slightly distracted before she nodded slightly to Luke. Yes, but make sure to bring your bowl to the sink first. Yes, Mom. Luke shouted, already running his half full bowl of cereal to the sink. He dashed out into a black garden without a second thought, looking back. I started as retreating figure. What do you think that was about? I asked my wife. I don't know. Quite creepy, don't you think? She responded. Quite. I don't know how he could have concocted. I don't know how he could have concocted such a story, to be honest. Think there's something to it? Claire shot a look of disdain my way. Are you asking me if there is a ghost haunting our house and he visits our son at night? Really, John? What? You don't believe in ghosts? Oh my god. Okay, I don't know, I said with a look of contemplation. Jesus. I think there's a lot in the universe we don't understand. Who's to say there's not something after death? Thank you. She turned back to my eggs. She was still cooking. That's ridiculous, John. Anyway, as you said before many times, it's just harmless. As you said many times, it's just a harmless imaginary friend. She looked back over her shoulder at me. Right? I muttered, only a half listening at this point. My mind was on other matters. Now, I stared out my window. Maybe I should stay in Luke's room tonight, check in and make sure there's Not some weirdo sneaking into our son's room at night, really. Don't you think that's a little overkill? What? Couldn't hurt. It's Friday night. Mom would be happy to keep him for a sleeper. They can binge watch Paw Patrol while she gorges him on popcorn and sugar cookies. And you can get a night to relax in the tub with a glass of wine and a good book. She tried to look annoyed, but I could tell she was intrigued by the idea. This is ridiculous, she says half-heartedly. Come on, a good soak and a night to yourself sounds pretty damn good. She rolls her eyes. I knew I won. Whatever, but if your mom is busy, it's off. Just as I predicted, Mom was pleased as a punch to take Luke for the night. She picked him up earlier evening, and Claire and I enjoyed a lovely night on carry-out and pizza, cheap wine. I sent her off to have a bubble bath while I watched some goofy alien show on the History Channel. By 11 o'clock, I found myself getting sleepy and ready to turn in. After changing into my PJs, I brushed my teeth. I announced to my wife that I was off to communicate with the dead. In my whisky, spooky voice, she was already in bed and engrossed into a paper bag. Have fun, she murmured distractedly, blowing me because I felt a warmth of our bedroom snuffle down the I felt the warmth of her bedroom shuffling down the hall into Luke's room. I flipped over the headlight and looked around. The pale blue walls sported a large clown. Oh no, mural, which stared back at me with a toothy grin. I don't like clowns. Ooh, I don't like clowns. I don't like clowns. Where was I? Toothy grin. I shuddered. Why? Or why did my wife decide on a carnival themed for his new room? There was nothing creepier than a clown, hands down. I walked over to Luke's tiny bed with a striped of blue comforter. My feet would hang off the end, but I would survive. I crawled into bed and shut off the lamp. That was shaped like a big top. The soft red light gave the clown a hellish glow. How had I not noticed how freaking creepy this room could be at night? Turning away from the creepy clown, I laid down and tried my best to slow my breathing and relax. I'd be like, nope, we're painting the room again. I would never do that to my children. No clowns. No clowns in my house. Nope, no clowns. I awoke abruptly from a deep sleep to the sound of creaking. At a moment of confusion, as I recognized, tried to my unfamiliar start. Right, Luke's room. Wait, creaking? Like a door? Or like, ooh, no. I rubbed the sleep out of my eyes and looked around, trying to locate the source of the noise. The closet in the far off was ajar. Oh, no. I had it been closed when I fell asleep. Luke's tiny backpack swings slightly on the door. Nope, things are swinging. Nope, run. Hello? I tentatively whispered, is anyone there? Why would you? Oh. Silent. No shit. I turned to my right and my gaze landed on the freaking clown. Oh my god. I really needed to talk to Claire about that. The nightlight still gave off the creepy red glow, making the room appear almost distorted. She looked around oh my god. I looked around the roof, noticing the pile of stuffed animals in the corner and the bookcase by the door. You're not Luke. My gaze whipped. The voice was quiet. I couldn't even. Who's there? Again, silence. Met my weary. I rubbed my eyes. This was ridiculous. What am I even doing in here? I was working myself up over nothing. A grown man sleeping in a tiny bed next to an arguably the creepiest clown in the universe. I threw the covers back and I was about to sway my legs over to the side of the bed when I heard it again. You're not Luke. I froze complete. Oh my god. There was no denying it this time. I heard a voice coming from the closet. Slowly. Oh, I don't like that. Slowly, as if I didn't really want to know, I drug my gaze towards the dark closet in the corner. The unravel glow of the nightlight, I saw a tiny pale face on the top half of the face was visible. Large dark orb for eyes and a grayish white forehead and matted dark hair. The face stared at me from high into the closet. Like it was honestly a obscure tall child standing just behind the wall. No. I don't like that. That description scared me. Who are you? I stammered. The face remained still. I realized the eyes had not yet blinked. Are you Reggie? I asked. At the sound of his name, the face abruptly disappeared. I heard scrambling noises coming from the closet. Where is Luke? The voice was Adler coursing this time, with Luke's name coming out, grappling and angering the child. He's not here, I said loudly to hear my voice say to myself. What do you want? There was silence for a second. Finally, the voice spoke up. This time, want Luke. I was shocked and silenced for a few beats. You can't have Luke. I raised my voice defensively. The room suddenly grew cold and the air cracked. The hairs on the back of my neck stood up. Oh no, get out of there. No. Before I could say anything in response, I spotted movement on the floor because I want to lift my feet off the ground now. My feet were dangling off the bed. I don't feel safe like that anymore. The white face was back, and I could see it more clearly from the vantage. It was a face of a child, but corrupted. This was not a child. The skin was sickly and thin. The eyes were sunken, almost desiccated. Dark circles surrounded the black eyes. The lips were pale and bloodless, and were curled into a sickly grin. It was the teeth that shook me the most. They were extremely small, thin, and jagged, as if the tooth had been broken intentionally to create this horrifying scenic model. The chin rested directly on the floor, and the face looked deep directly at me with an angry such as I had ever seen on a face of a child. It was the face of pure and utter rage. The face stared for a few seconds before the child creature began to move. No, not move, slither. With all of its limbs tight to its body, it slithered on the belly of the closet, all the while whispering increasingly, stumbling voice, wants Luke. Wants Luke. Oh, fuck. No. I backed up as far as I could until I pressed against the headboard of Luke's tiny bed while the child sank forward. Soon the head and the shoulders were no longer visible. I soon lost sight of its pointy white feet as it continued to glide slightly forward. The child was under the bed. I gripped the small mattress, both of my hands, not knowing what to do. My heart raced through the roof, and the beads of the sweat and welled up on my forehead. The mattress jolted as the creature underneath grabbed onto the springs from below, and it was some bad. Oh my god. The springs of the tiny mattress had grown from the extra weight. Slowly, I could feel the movement of the creature as it moved one hand and then the other until I could finally see the tiny jagged fingernails appearing on the side of the bed. No. I never understood that I'm paralyzed with fright. I will always imagine the face of the ragged monster of the axe messenger. I could easily find the willpower to get my ass in gear and move, but in this move, the ability to move had jolted by another. I shut my eyes tightly, unwilling to have a horrible impersonation of a child burned into my retinas. As it was then that I heard, John, come back to bed. This is ridiculous. The lights. John, come back to bed. This is ridiculous. The lights clicked on as I finally regained to use my muscles to turn my head and open my eyes. John, are you okay? I stared at her for a beat before I whipped around the side of my bed where the hands grasped the mattress only for a moment. Nothing. I couldn't sleep without you. It gives me the creeps sleeping alone. It gave him the creeps sitting in that room looking at that child. And you couldn't sleep alone. Oh, she turned and left, her robe trailing behind her. I waited for a full minute, listening intently for another sound. All quiet. Hesitantly, I lowered one foot to the floor as I stood. I fully expected to see a tiny, ragged hand reaching below the darkness of my bed, grasping my ankle, but none come. I could bring myself. Instead, I turned around, walking out of the room. I shut the door behind me. Back in my own bed, with my wife sleeping peacefully, I laid awake for hours, unable to face of the child from my mind, unable to sleep with the fear I would wake up with those small, cold hands wrapping around my throat and a snake-like voice whispering in the darkness. I must have drifted off because the next thing I knew it was morning. Sunlight shone through the partly opening blinds and birds chirping annoyingly outside of the second floor window. I rubbed the sleep from my eyes as I contemplated the prior evening. I couldn't let Luke stay in that room again, not with that thing in there. No, I had to do something. I had to protect my son. Yay. I'm now scared to go to bed. Anyways, comment down below which out of the two stories I read, which one was your favorite, or maybe comment down below any like scary experiences you guys ever have experienced, or like somebody you knew had experienced, and comment down below, and maybe I'll react to some of the comments, or like read them for a YouTube video. That would be a fun idea. But anyways, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Don't forget to click subscribe and turn on post notifications so you never miss a post. Love you guys and see you next Saturday. Bye!